The other day, you were waiting for to catch the birds to pay. Then you walk while it was a day. Hoping I can hold it. No, I'm gonna be like you. Hi, Nick. How are you? Penny, you serious? You
There's a layer growing on top of it that I noticed that when the water bottle hit, it was cracked in the middle. I had no idea, so there was a crease. So I had to clip and peel away that whole top
of your toe?
Still, like, in the corner left of it.
But you still have a toenail.
Yes.
Okay.
No, it's gone.
Well, I mean, they go back, though. They do. I know, but... Who were you talking to?
Because he was grabbing a package, and he was like, I don't want people to think I'm stealing it. Because he walked up there, and he was like, yeah, I looked in the mailbox, because Amazon said, we put it in your mailbox. I was like, oh, that's fucking weird. I was like, can you just go check anyways? So yeah. He's like, so it looks weird, because I'm like, looking in your mailbox, and he's like, oh, it's under the table. And then he grabbed it and walked away, so he's like, I think it's just stealing it.
I thought you said Brandon, not Morgan.
I know this is through a little bit.
Really? You want me to turn my head and look at it?
It's nothing. It's just that there's the extra layers.
All of that. Yeah. Wow. What if you could file? What I got? That's what I got.
Good job. Just remember we have to unmute them though for public comment.
Yeah.
Ready to roll?
Hey, where's Suzanne? Suzanne's not here.
Hmm?
Suzanne.
Yeah.
No. Where? She's not here. Kate's here.
Yeah.
But Suzanne isn't here.
Oh, wow. She's going to be
secretary.
listening. She's going to be
she's listening? Okay.
All right, we will start the meeting. Selectmen's meeting, August 1st at 5:30. The first item will be to consider the minutes that we have to read. So the first one is our regular meeting on July 5th. Take a motion to get it on the table.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes, or approve the minutes of July 5th, 2022 regular meeting.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on them? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next is the special meeting on the 15th of July. May I have a motion on those minutes, please?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the July 15th special meeting.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion on that set of minutes. All right, we're prepared to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And last is the special meeting on the 21st of July.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the special meeting for July 21st, 2022.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on, we have public comment. So I will endeavor to unmute this. All right, so public comment. Is there someone in the audience here who would like to make a public comment? All right, seeing none, then we have on the telephone, does anyone wish to make a public comment? Very well. Thank you. I'll go back here. Okay, so we come to the next item, which is the Tanamahague Landing. We have Attorney Jack Collins with us today, and we'll endeavor to get this microphone going for you.
I can steal Matt's.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. When I sit here, Ken, that way I don't have my back to people.
That's fine.
Does that work?
Yeah, it works for me. I got this other one here too, so.
Okay.
I'm gonna speak it over anyway, so.
Thank you, Jack.
Certainly. Ordinarily, I don't do prepared statements.
Let me just say this at the outset. Attorney Collins indicated that he will make a statement, but he's not going to engage in question and answer at this point. This is a preliminary report to us.
Thank you, Tim. As I started to say, ordinarily I don't engage in prepared statements, but I recognize that there's a lot of public interest in this issue, and I want to make sure that my comments are not misconstrued. To that end, I've been asked to make a brief statement, emphasis on the word brief, on the status of our investigation as to the town's legal interest in town landing at Tanamahague. As I indicated, I will be brief and will not be entertaining questions at this time, mainly for legal reasons. For many months, my office has engaged an expert consultant to further investigate this matter, in addition to our ongoing legal work. This matter is legally very complex. I anticipate that he will conclude his investigation within the next 30 days once he returns from his vacation. Our preliminary research, and I would emphasize the word preliminary, has not found any deeds transferring legal title to the subject property to Old Lyme, which was legally created in 1855, as you all know, or to its predecessor governments. Put simply, we have uncovered no evidence in support of the proposition that Old Lyme owns the subject property by virtue of any such deeds or transfers. That said, we have uncovered substantial evidence that Tanamahague Landing was established as a highway or roadway in the 1700s. Numerous deeds and maps since that time reflect the existence of the highway. Evidence suggests ongoing public use of the highway and maintenance of the highway by the town. And there is no evidence uncovered to date which suggests the town has abandoned such use. While we await the final conclusions from our very well-regarded expert consultant, we will have discussions with the Board of Selectmen as to recommended affirmative actions, that is, affirmative actions that the town should take to enforce its legal rights at Tanamahague Landing. Thank you.
So I think with that, for a layman, there's a road, and the road is a town road, and it's been used chronically since the 1700s. So that seems to be a very interesting and important detail.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
So that being a basis, I think what we're going to do is to consider as this moves forward. I think this road would indicate that there's a history here, and I believe even Public Works has been used to clear some of the vegetation down near the landing to enable access. I know at the last meeting there was a discussion about that. So I think the selectmen believe that this access should be maintained, and so we will be working in that regard. Anybody else want to say anything on that?
Nope.
Okay, the next item is the Halls Road Improvement Committee. We have Chairman Edie Twining and Jeff Brasser from BSC who've been working on this. You got that mic there? Good, good.
Hi.
Hello.
Good day.
Thanks for having us back again. So one thing I wanted to start with, I'm Edie Twining, this is Jeff, and we are coming to you today because we were looking at when the next Selectmen meetings were happening in August, and it looked like this was the only one. So we're a little ahead of ourselves.
We can always have a special meeting for you.
Thank you. So we don't have the full overlay district document with us today, but we do have a presentation that will help you understand what you're reading when you read it. We should have it by the end of the week. And just so you know, things are moving along. Today we just went to RiverCog and presented our lock-zip application.
Oh, good.
So that is going to get in the queue. It may take several years, but it's on the list.
Just say what that means in layman terms for the public.
So, okay.
Lot-zip is
the DOT local transportation
investment plan,
capital improvements program application. So, and this is where the public improvements can be reviewed by DOT finally in a formal manner, and the document has deeper drawings than what we've had in our regular Halls Road Master Plan. So it should be something that we can get more feedback from once they finally get to look at it. And once we do hear it's getting looked at, we're going to come to you, Tim, and ask you to get all the political help you can find for us, get people to pay attention to this, and get our support for it.
But just so you know, the RiverCog does have people queued up ready to access the funding. We're 17 towns including Middletown. So people stand back if they've been there and received money. So we have not received a grant for a long time. So I think whenever this happens, people can allow us to
make some room for it.
Yeah.
That would be good. Yeah, we're pursuing other possible grants for other parts of this too.
How much is that grant, or how much can you apply for? Is it a specific amount, or is it just they give you what they?
Okay, great.
Yeah.
The size of the grant?
How much? How much is that?
Oh, the project will cost right now. They're estimating around $2 million just to do the sidewalks.
The grant that you just presented or you just passed in. How much is that grant?
The lot.
Yeah.
You said 2, I thought it was 3, but
I think that's what Rob said this morning at our meeting, that it was estimated at 2 million, and that doesn't include the bridge and the trails, so that's a separate.
No, the bridge is
But I can
separate.
leave this with the selectmen to review.
So the grant wouldn't be 100% though, would it?
This is what I don't know.
Okay.
I think it's supposed to be a fairly big number. I
Yeah.
mean, I know that they've done a bunch of work, and it's a locally run thing, not national, so you get
All
more
right.
chance. of
Well, we got a couple of years to figure that out.
Yeah, we'll find out. So the main reason we're here, though, is to review the Halls Road Overlay District, which is a new idea we have from what we did almost a year ago now. Originally, we had the Halls Road Improvement Committee started as a measure to bring safety so kids could walk down to the shopping center areas. After several meetings in 2015 and to 2018, more folks were looking for other things besides just getting there. They wanted to see a walkable town center, a place to meet, apartments and townhouses, and not be serving the highway, but serving the town. So that was one of the things that kind of changed from the original idea of what the Halls Road Committee was meant to be doing. We did engage the Yale Urban Design Workshop and got some good ideas from them, and then we kind of decided we could streamline it a little bit and went on our own to create the Halls Road Vision Proposal. And by 2019, we had the EDC had engaged the Advanced CT group to do a townwide survey about what are the economic development possibilities in Old Lyme, and it included parts of Halls Road, which we have the documentation here in town. And also in 2020, the POCD again called for greater housing variety in Old Lyme. It's something that's been on this list for almost 30 years. And then in 2020, we started the process and hired the BSC, who had been doing work with us already for Soundview, to help us create a master plan. By 2021, the master plan was completed, and it called for basically the idea that had started this out, which was to make more of a town center on Halls Road, and this had multiple reasons behind it. One is, the issues of the internet causing issues for retail, having a real struggle to stay alive, and the strip centers are the hardest ones to keep going. In 2021, we submitted a zoning application for the Halls Road Village District, which it was withdrawn in January because it was really too restrictive and wasn't working correctly. So we took that under advisement and reworked it, and now hopefully by September, with everybody's approval here and within our committee, we can send in the application. So why an overlay district? So as I was mentioning, the village district was, it was too stringent. It didn't allow for what is there today. Everything would have become non-conforming. So the overlay district allows much more opportunities for people who want to use it, but you can still just stay in the existing zone as it is today. What we have today mainly encourages highway-centric development. We've seen that problem happen repeatedly with people wanting to put in gas stations on Halls Road, and it really, it's very prime for people to want to say, oh, we're right, easy on, easy off from I-95, and let's just put in a whole highway plaza here for us, and, great for the highway, not for the town. So that's one reason we want to make some changes. The mixed use idea is what can help promote local businesses, which is really the most important part on Halls Road, is we want to maintain our commercial center. Bricks and mortar retail does best in village settings, for people to browse and walk along. Very few people walk down the Big Y shopping area. I think I almost always drive down to Bowerbird from the Big Y. So this is a different attitude. This is more closer to what we have on Lime Street. And then the new housing types would come from this mixed-use option. Apartments over shops, townhouses and condos, which are really in critical demand with older and younger residents. And the residents in all of our meetings and showing this project to various different groups around town, they're looking for more shops and restaurants, a place to gather and mix with neighbors. And really, that's the one thing you can't do online. You can shop all you want, but you can't run into a friend or sit and have coffee together. And that's something that we all have discovered from COVID is pretty key to have happen. Another really important thing is, with the Halls Road Overlay District, it will increase the town's tax base, which is, I think people worry about how much everything will cost, but it's also, it will help the town's cost base as opposed to the other way around. And also by associated town services are lower than for widespread development. So HROD keeps development from spreading, it keeps it consolidated in one area. And the Halls Road Master Plan encourages new development along Halls Road with the look and feel of the historical line that follows the design guidelines as set out in the new overlay. So the main thing we're here to do is explain to you what this overlay district is about. And the main concept here is if you choose to use the overlay district, you need to provide a qualifying project. So a qualifying project means that you can build right up along the road, and then you'll have commercial on the first floor and residential or whatever else you want on the second or behind that frontage of Halls Road. So that's fairly restrictive in a certain way, but at the same time, it's the way that we believe will help ensure that Halls Road comes up close to the road as opposed to, let's put lots of apartment buildings in the back of Halls Road, which is not what we're trying to do. We're trying to make a town center. So once the qualifying project is underway, then you can do additional development behind your property, behind the Halls Road frontage. And that's one of the things we think will be very appealing to developers. And then regulations we have set up in the actual document that are easy enough to read through. And the design guidelines is another thing that we had heard from zoning, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. They were like, we have no way of knowing whether this is a good looking project or not. We don't have architects or any kind of design people involved in what we approve, and the design guidelines help to make that happen. So that is only in the Halls Road overlay.
Edie, how deep would the Halls Road district be from street to the rear?
You could be from, I have a little chart coming up that will explain that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a good question. So, and it's right here. So, to answer that question, right now you can't build anything closer than 60 feet to Halls Road, which was a way to ensure you have lots of parking and you could see the parking from the road. We're saying you can build right up against the right-of-way and no further back than 15 feet. So, the ice cream shop on Lime Street is 15 feet from the road. So it gives you a little bit of space, but it's not like 60 feet back, which is what everything on Halls Road is currently. So that's a way of ensuring that it does become more of a walkable town center. And we have this little chart here that explains what we can or can't do. Right now you can build a single-family home on Halls Road, but there are 2 of them, and one of them is actually a veterinarian service, and we're saying no, we're not going to be building single-family homes on Halls Road. You can already do that if you want to stay in the C30, but we are saying you can have residential multifamily housing. So that's, again, to answer this need of a lot of people trying to downsize and people trying to come into town that can't be buying houses first off. But everything else, stores, restaurants, offices, entertainment, pet service, and public uses are all allowed, and gas stations would not be allowed. Charging stations right now, zoning is trying to work out the language for charging stations, so they would be clearly something we would want to see. I mean, it'd be a great reason you can go charge up your car, and then you can go browse around on the town street, so that's a good thing. I'm going to be giving you guys this little presentation too, so you can go through some of these nittier details. So, but the real idea here is that you've got buildings coming up close to the road, and but if you don't want to follow that, you don't have to. You can just stay in the regular district that you have now, which was, clearly one of the issues with the village.
If you had a property that was further away than 15 feet, but you wanted to do something with it, second floor residential, let's say, you'd be precluded from doing that?
If I could jump in.
Yeah.
The overlay district would follow the same boundary as the current C30S zoning district that's along Halls Road and goes all the way to the depth of I-95 and goes similar depth to the north of that too. So the zoning district would stay the same. So you could do all these things within that larger zoning district. We're just saying if you want to come in under the overlay district, you need to do some development on Halls Road first before you can then do redevelopment for deeper on your parcel or a parcel that's behind it.
Yeah,
but if a property, say the Citizens Bank, wished to do something using the new district, but they're too far back, more than 15 feet, would they have a problem?
They would actually have to build something closer.
Okay.
Yeah. But they just can't do any residential behind them, unless they build closer.
Okay.
So basically, the only real difference is that you can now add into your district residential units that are multifamily. So this is the district today, and we're not changing it at all. So basically, even in the earlier village district idea, we were thinking of cutting back from where the Florence Grizzled was, but there's no need to do that with the overlay because they just don't have to choose to be an overlay. So there's no change needed for that. And so this is kind of a view of how you could have buildings close up along here and then more larger scale properties in the back. But for instance, these properties back here don't have any frontage to Halls Road. So unless they do some deal with someone to make themselves connected to the front of Halls Road, they wouldn't be building any residential back there. But we think that that's fair enough because it wouldn't be fair to just say, oh, well, you can build residential, but the guys on Halls Road can't, So it took a while to kind of work out some of these kinks, and between Jeff and Bill Sweeney, we got details that were helpful to make it work. And also even in this, along the Big Y Center, he could eventually, whether he tore down what was here or not, he could also build a whole residential situation back here. So that's, this is really just a beginning stage idea, so what's a full piece to. But what we'd like to do is send you the actual document this week, and we're going to be making sure that our committee has approved the document as well, and then ask that we'll put together the whole package that we can have as a paper copy and an electronic copy to bring to the zoning commission, but hopefully by, I think it's September 12th is their meeting, so then that will record it being arrived to them. October we'll probably do a presentation similar to this.
You wrote September 6th here, do you think that's correct?
September 6th is your meeting.
So we need to approve it so you can take it to zoning.
Right.
Applying to zoning commission at their September 6th meeting, but maybe
after your meeting, yeah. Oh. I didn't know whether I thought everybody was on vacation in August, so.
I think they are. Although they're meeting.
Yes.
I know that zoning isn't meeting, so
Okay.
that's what brought us to the
We would
12th.
approve September 6th, and then you could go and move it to September 12th.
But your formal presentation would be on October 11th?
Yeah, because I think the way it works is they
They receive it,
Yeah,
and then they think about
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And they have, and they're required to hold a public hearing
Yeah.
And
within a
also,
certain time period.
we did have a couple of informational conversations with zoning, and the last one we had, actually Jane Marsh asked the question of the commission whether anyone was against the idea of doing multifamily housing on Halls Road, and everyone was in favor of it, which was nice to hear. And also Paul Orzel asked if anyone was against the idea of doing an overlay district, and everyone was in favor of that as well. So I think we're heading in the right direction. We're trying to make sure we're following the needs. And I also just wanted to let you know some interesting thing that came up today. The Old Lyme Shopping Center, where the Hideaway is, has just announced that they are going to have an auction on August 22nd for their property, which they originally were asking 6-point-something million for, and their starting bid is at 1.5.
Which property is this?
This is where the Hideaway is.
That whole
The
strip,
Old Lyme Shopping Center.
the whole strip?
Is that the women from Yonkers?
Yes, yes. Yeah, so things are happening, you know, I mean, I don't know whether that's just so that you can get in at a lower level to bid on it, and then they're hoping it'll go up higher, obviously, but, it's, you know, that's kind of a key property for this whole project.
Because that's called the Old Lyme Shopping Center, isn't it?
Yes.
And that might be available for 1.5?
No. Yeah. Well, it's a starting bid, an auction.
Starting.
So if no one else shows up, you can buy it for 1.5.
You seem interested, Tim.
Want to be my talent partner? When's that auction to be? August something?
August 22nd.
Wow. That is going to... Is it in person, or is it going to be...
I think you're going to have to go to the website to check out the details, but...
Usually you have to probably submit, you know, something.
Yeah, I think in order to bid, you have, here's what the posting was, but I can send you what the link was. In order to even find out what the minimum you have to be participating, you have to sign up for it. You know,
Right.
Doing it.
You have to put the money on deposit
Yeah,
with an
yeah,
escrow.
I'm sure you have to have a set amount of money to start with. But I was really surprised. It was like,
Yeah.
wow, Cheryl found that for us. But
How long has she owned it? Anyone have any?
Wow. Several years, a bunch of years.
I would say so, right?
yeah, there was a couple different owners, right? I mean, since,
Yeah. Well, Bob Chapman built it way back when, but these gals have been in there for a while.
So,
I'll make a copy of this.
you know any good developers? Let's start talking to them.
It's called 10X. 10X is the... Cheryl, can you send us the link to this? Thank you. Cheryl will send it to us. We can get our checkbooks ready. You can keep them.
So any other questions? We will get this paper to you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for all the hard work you and your committee have done on this, because I know that you started, restarted, and started again. And we appreciate and we appreciate it very much. You're doing great things for this town, and I hope that people appreciate it. Can we look at that over
Yeah,
there?
actually, this is a copy for the town.
Okay.
There are 3 copies of what we just looked at.
Excellent.
tonight, so those are for you guys.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, put that with the selectman's office.
Well, I will.
Take one of these, though.
I will. I want to.
Thank you.
I want to read that.
Well, thank you both.
Thank you.
Next is communication. We got a letter from Nevin Joshi who is the recipient of the Oline Government Award at graduation. He writes, "I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for generously providing me with the funding I need to continue my education into college. I'm extremely honored to be the recipient of the award this year. The generosity of the government award has made my education at Rensselaer Polytech Institute a much more financially feasible decision. I'm so grateful. The scholarship will positively contribute to my future in computer science as I intend to become a software engineer. The scholarship will directly be responsible for my success in the future, and I'm endlessly thankful for your help." That's very nice.
It is.
Yeah.
Where is he going to?
Rensselaer.
Rensselaer?
Yeah, RPI. Yeah. Okay, we have some appointments to consider. The first two are reappointments of terms that are ending. So we have Susan Campbell to the Lyme Senior Center for a 3-year term ending the 30th of June 2025, and David Griswold the same.
Okay, I'll make a motion to appoint Susan Campbell and David Griswold to 3-year terms to the Lyme Senior Center Board from June 30th. From June 30th, we're going to go retroactive, I believe, because it's been up since last June of 22. So it's really July 1st of 22. Because they expired in June.
But this year.
Yes, so it'll be,
22.
well,
So it's just,
retroactive, but they will expire June of 2025. How about that?
Okay.
A second?
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The next one, well, actually we can do both of them, but they'll be on the Connecticut Gateway Commission. We have Suzanne Thompson, who's a regular member representing the town on the Connecticut Gateway, 2-year term to the 30th of June 24, and Greg Fatoma, who is an alternate member of the Connecticut Gateway Commission, 2-year term at 30th of June 24.
Make a motion to appoint Susan Thompson, regular member of the Connecticut Gateway Commission, 2-year term, June 30th, 2024, and Greg Futoma, alternate member of the Connecticut Gateway Commission, 2-year term until June 30th, 2024.
Okay.
Second.
Moved and seconded. So we'll vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Very fine. All right. With respect to the Conservation Commission, that music here. We have a new alternate member suggestion, Madeline Longfellow, and she would be an alternate member, Conservation Commission, for a term ending the 31st of January 23.
I'll make the motion for Madeline Longfellow to be appointed to a term as an alternate member for the Conservation Commission with a term ending January 31st of 2023.
A second.
Moved and seconded. Now, let me see if I've got... I was going to try to fill in the year, but it's whatever the term is. Okay. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay.
Aye.
Then we have on the Economic Development Commission, Jean Wilsinski as a regular member for a term ending the 31st of January 26. What are your terms, Cheryl? How long are your typical terms?
I believe they're 4 years.
Well, we'll fill in the blank. Could be 4.
Says it expires January 26.
Well, if it's... So she's filling Howard's position, so it's 3.5 years. Okay, so it's a 4-year term.
Right.
Gotcha.
Motion to appoint Jean
Wilzinski.
Member Economic Development Commission to a remaining term from January till January 31st, 2026.
I will second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
And we had a submission last week from the Historic District Commission. Jeff Cooley has resigned, so the request from the Historic District is that Deb Zarnicki, who is an alternate at this point, she become a regular membership to fill a 5-year term ending the 31st of January, but first of 23. But first, we need to have a motion to add that matter to the agenda. Deb Zarnicki from an alternate.
Motion to add the Historic District Commission appointment of Deb Zarnicki to the agenda, letter F.
To fill a 5-year term ending in
5-year term.
the 1st of January 23.
So she's basically filling in the next 6 months, and then we'll reappoint her in next year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll second that. Sorry, Matt.
All right. So now that, all in favor?
Aye.
Now we can vote on the motion that was added. Same motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint Deb Zarnicki to the Historic District Commission from an alternate position to the regular position for that 5-year term that ends January 31st, 2023.
Second. Sorry.
Okay. Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Very well. Thank you. That completes that. Halls Road, we have heard that report. The next item is the Soundview sidewalks. Frank Pappalardo and I have been working on that budget, and we needed to speak with the engineer from BSC, which is not Jeff Frasser. It's Rob Newton, who has been on vacation. I tried him today, and he probably very busy, having come back from vacation. So there is a meeting of the committee next week. They've scheduled a meeting. The submissions of the applications for payment have all been sent in, which are 5, and they include 5 change orders actually, which is a lot of which relates to the bus stop work.
Mm-hmm.
Some work in 3 of the applications has not been completed, and it's held them up in its entirety. So certainly a lot of work has been done, and the contractor more than likely could be given a large percentage of what is due, which is about $136,000. Frank and I want to get this all in shape and find out exactly what needs to be done, and perhaps the committee will feel comfortable in releasing a good part of it. In addition to that, there is a retainage amount of $19,000 plus that is the safeguard for going into the future. There's probably a period of time that the retainage needs to be held, or some portion of it. It's a 5% retainage. So, and there are a couple of adjustments that need to be worked out. So hopefully we can resolve a lot of these things. The certified payroll has been, I checked with our consultant on that, and there was only 1 payroll which required some adjustment out of 25 that where there was work performed. So that seems to be in good order. So next week, I think when we get the full report, the committee will be able to look through everything and agree on a course of action. One important part is the fact that the grant for $400,000, if you do not use the grant to the full extent, you have to send the money back. the unused sum. It looks at this point as if we're slightly above the 400,000. So part of the question for the engineer is to confirm that everything that we have being considered grant eligible is indeed grant eligible. A number of things are not grant eligible. So we want to make sure that that's properly resolved with the PSC. So I think we can get that accomplished this week and be ready for the meeting on Monday.
So Tim, is it being used or are they still have it roped off? I haven't been down there this week.
It could be used if a bus wished to come in and there is a bench there. There is no shelter there yet. And the road is in. So it could be used. I don't know if the bus is still stopping on 156 thinking that it's not ready yet. So
I didn't know if they had approved usage yet.
Yeah, I mean the pad is there for the bus where the macadam is located for handicap and so forth. So I think all the elements are there. I don't know if Estuary Transit's been informed that they can start to use it.
And have you heard if the shelter is going to be on time or is it possibly delayed? Like everything? I
think we have to ask the committee. I think
mid-August was the expected date.
Yeah. So we should be able to find that out as well. Because I think they will, the pad is in for the shelter, so all that has to be done is you drill the holes and put the bolts in it and plop the thing on and you're good.
Okay.
So I know that Estuary was ordering the structure to be, and it'll show up and
right.
I imagine our contractor will actually install it.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Okay. Soundview Sewers were eagerly awaiting any word from Senator Blumenthal and Senator Murphy if there is to be some help coming. I think the way it has been described by the private beach associations, that they must have some additional funding or this project might not be able to move forward until something changes. I think the application is for $11 million, which is a large sum of money. That would be in addition to the clean water money that would be available for the project. Now, you have to realize that the private beaches not only do the shared infrastructure, which we all do, and each beach does its gravity sewer to get the material down to the collection pipe. In addition, the private beaches are doing stormwater drainage, and that's a fairly significant item because you're digging up the street anyway, but you're putting in catch basins and piping and so forth. And then, of course, once all that's done, you have to repave the road. So it's larger, depending on the beach. It's a good deal larger than just sewers alone, which is what the clean water's for. Miami has the most ambitious stormwater proposal, and so there will be a meeting, I think it's the 27th of August, at the middle school, where this will be discussed amongst the beach associations and the engineers, and hopefully maybe a senator or two might come by. I know that Doug Whalen, who's with Old Colony Beach, is trying to work out who could come, but it's open to the public, but particularly the residents of the beaches, so that they can hear it, the same message once from as many people as possible in the know. So
the money that the WPCA receives through the Community Initiative Grant, are they putting that towards? That
would be probably for the Soundview effort itself. So it could be, I don't know if that's going to spread out amongst all of it. It might be for the Sound View. It could be for our share of the common infrastructure. It could be for the gravity sewer. So I haven't heard how they might view that. It's 150,000, right?
I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, I think it's 150,000. So it would be obviously helpful.
And the state has said they'll hold off on the repaving of 156.
I have not heard that.
Okay.
I got a letter from a DOT representative talking about rumble strips between Halls Road and East Lyme. And I called and I said, why do we need rumble strips? I can understand stuff along the edge of the road. And the person got back and said there's something like 15 accidents where people went over the center line and hit stuff, whether they fell asleep or...
Oh, how long of a time frame now? That's if that's like over 10 years, it's not a horrible number.
Yeah, I think I wrote it down.
It's a 5-year period.
Probably like 3 years or something, but I was sort of surprised that... but I think it's kind of a nuisance, and it's not good for the road, I don't think. But, so, the point being, I said, well, when are you, the letter says, we are intending to do that in calendar 22. So I called them and I said, we're really hoping that the paving from Soundview to East Lyme for the Force Main will not happen until we get everything squared away. So I don't know what the DOT's intention is. I've not heard anything specifically, and we've only got about 3 more months of paving before the winter shutdown. So you'd think that we would have heard some...
Unless it's the rumble strip from Halls Road going up Route 1 to East Lyme. Did it say 156 or did it say Boston Post?
This was specifically oriented from Hall's Corner to East Lyme. And I know there have been some... I think one of the people in the beach area is well connected with DOT and kept saying, I think we're okay. But, the more time that passes, the more difficult it becomes. So that would be really difficult to have that happen. And then, even if we get some grant money, that's going to be a significant expense if you have to dig it up.
Well, it's not the most efficient use of money if they're going to put the rumble strip in. Then when we do sewers, then they're going to come back and repave the whole road and have to put the rumble strip back in.
Well, the rumble strips would be eyewash. If you have to cut up the road to put a new pipe in, that would be on the project after DOT did the paving. So
I think
we've
people
been successful at holding them off. But if, for instance, there is no grant, let's say, and the project has to go on the shelf for a while, because I think DOT, if it's totally an economic nightmare, I don't think the DOT can say, figure it out, do it, or we're going to sue you. I think that if it's an economic
issue,
big time, I think DOT would have to back off and say they would postpone whatever they have there. So best case scenario, we could get things going, but
I just wish we could get all these people in a room together.
That'll be the 27th of August.
Well, the DOT, are they going to come?
I don't know if they'll be invited. It would be
nice,
interesting to see. Yeah.
Okay.
So, next is the Senior Center expansion. And Julie Baker is here, and she has been to Lyme this afternoon, and the Lyme First Selectman has read through it and has seen fit to sign the signature page.
No, it's okay. As long as it's on.
Hopefully you receive and look through the document. I know that our Board of Finance member, B.J. Birnbaum, has a background in contract law and has worked it fairly extensively, and so point one generated it, and it's been reviewed by some eyes in the committee, and so we'll turn it over to Jerry.
Well, what you have in front of you is the culmination of several weeks of discussions with one architect after both towns approved the $287,300 to move forward with the next phase of the schematic design leading to construction. What you have in front of you is a 23-page standard AIA contract that we vetted with a working group from the building committee that included BJ, Alan Shinus, myself, Steve Mattson occasionally. Tim, you were updated every time we had our meetings. And we vetted that 23 pages line by line, clause by clause, so that everyone understood in those discussions that we were looking at clarification of language, but also process to make sure point one understood what it meant to deal with two municipalities for the project, but also to make sure that they got what they needed as an architectural firm. We felt as a committee in our July meeting, when we also went through the 23 pages with our committee members, that the vetting that we've done over the last several weeks, the discussions, the negotiations, met the needs of both entities. And actually met the needs of the towns. We really stressed that we wanted to see really good language in this standard format of a commercial contract. So that's basically a summary of what we've done and a culmination to this point of the work that this committee has been doing since October 2019.
I had one minor question.
Sure.
The documents, once the architectural documents are done, it says the architect is deemed the author and owners of the respective instruments of service, including drawing specifications, and shall retain all common law, statutory, and other reserved rights, including copyrights. And then it goes on to say, if the owner intends to continue using the architect's instruments of service, there's a fee of $5,000. Now, if we pay them, 200 and some odd thousand, I gather it's standard, but it just seems like, that we pay for them, why don't we own them?
Well, we will have them. We will have them because every document they're going to be producing under public funding is going to be public. It's going to be a public document. We went through that language with them and stressed that we need to know that everything that you do is available to us. Okay.
But this fee, I don't know that once it's done, we need a license fee.
Which section are you
in? It's page 19.
Go by the section.
9.7, and it's 0.2 after that.
9.2. Let me see.
Page 19.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, actually, they reduced in good faith that fee for that licensing of those documents from $10,000 to $5,000.
Is there any reason you think we would need to have a license?
I don't think that that's going to be an issue unless we wanted to sell those plans to somebody else.
Well, I think the way I read this, and I'm not BJ, but the way I read it is, if you have their plans and you decide not to use them for some reason, but then you keep going ahead with their plans, you're paying them in additionally. So if you'd fired them, but you kept using their plans, then you'd have to pay them.
Yeah, and I think that's also the reduction for that fee from $10,000 to $5,000 was also in discussions about what happens if they're not done with something in a certain period of time. Initially, they had a 24-month period to look at what would happen to be paid for basic services. They extended that in good faith with us to 30 months, but also under the termination clause, they extended a cure period from 7 days to 21 days. Because the idea about this was to have the good faith effort to solve problems. We don't know what the world's going to be like next year when we go to construction. And we worked with them very closely with the idea that they're going to be flexible. We need to be flexible, but we also need to know that our needs are met and within reasonable periods of time. So. I have to tell you, we're really still very thrilled to be working with this.
Yeah, they've been great.
They've been very good. And they've been working. I mean, they've used up our remainder of our money for the feasibility study. They've already had their civil engineer, and they've already had Dick Gates come to do the survey of the property using the funds that we had left over from the feasibility study.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you need a motion for the Board of Selectmen to sign this.
To authorize the first selectman to execute the AIA document with .1 Architects.
I'll make a motion for the Board of Selectmen to sign the contract with the is it AIA?
Yes,
AIA
American Institute of
Architects document B101-2017.
Is it, well, do you mean to say the three of us sign it, or it's
No,
just the first selectman?
You can sign it too.
Yeah. Could you make sure?
Sure, I'll make that motion. I will make sure that I'll amend the motion to say that I'll make the motion that Tim
Well, the first selectman.
First Selectman Tim Griswold signs the A1A documentation, B101-2017, so that the senior center can proceed with their
wonderful plan.
Second.
Can I make a comment? So are you going to vote to be in support of this, and that's the name, only because this would be a waiver of the bidding process for our bidding policy, so if you could just kind of leave that in.
Okay.
Meaning this would have to go out to public bid, formal bid, unless it's approved. And we don't do our bid waivers until like next April, so we.
All right.
I thought we did that.
I don't know if we specifically had this on a list, the architects.
No, we approved them to hire them.
No.
What did we do?
Okay.
We already did something with
What they're doing now, that $287,300 takes them through their commitment to stay with the project to construction.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right now, the next phase, the $71,000 part of that $287,000 is the feasibility study that should be completed by this fiscal year. Then when they finish that schematic design phase, they'll have all the specs ready to present for a building plan. Then it goes out to bid. They may assist us with helping to find construction companies, but we had the discussion with them that no, we are going to be finding our construction companies as well.
I think what Nicole's getting at.
Open public bid.
No, she's talking that this contract wasn't bid. Wasn't. The .1 wasn't bid, but.
They
Oh, no, when we hired them.
We hired
them.
There was like a $30,000 kitty.
Yeah, we hired them
but
to
this
do the
is-
feasibility study, and then
I think the way to solve this would be to
you
say,
approved keeping them.
Yes, and so did Board of Finance.
I think the way we can solve this is to say that we could refer to the number, which is $287,300, and that we would waive the bid policy vis-a-vis this particular contract, in as much as Point One Architects has.
We already did that. We already did the $287,000.
Waive the bidding process to keep them on board before.
Yeah, but
If you want to add another layer.
I think to fulfill what she's talking about, we need to waive the bid policy vis-a-vis this particular contract.
I would just say to use the .1 throughout the contract as your,
So, If Suzanne is listening on the phone, I will amend to include that the Board of Selectmen, including Mr. Ward and Mrs. Shoemaker, will approve the waiver of the bidding process for this particular contract so that we can continue to use Point One Architects throughout the project.
Might just insert the $287,300.
We've already done that. It's already done that.
But in the motion now.
Okay, and include that there is a fee of $287,300, which we've already voted on.
So I think in summary it would be to authorize the first selectman to execute the contract and that the Board of Selectmen approves waiving the bid requirement for this architectural contract in the amount of $287,300, something like that.
That's what I said.
So moved.
There you go. I'm not sure who I'm seconding, or I'm seconding my own motion, or you're doing your math, but we're good.
Mr. Ward seconded.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, that's all right. Tim's going to start writing out the script for us so that we...
Fill it in a little bit.
Suzanne?
Okay, everyone understands the motion?
Yes.
We're ready to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is unanimous. Thank you, thank you.
And Jerry, thank you. You are extremely dedicated to this
Yes.
senior center and to this work. And we appreciate it.
I'm going to say the same thing I said to the Board of Selectmen in life. I have never worked with a better group of people on this building committee. The skill sets that are in this committee have helped with every step of the way. And I think once we finish this project, everybody's going to say, it's beautiful.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah, thank you, though, for your help and your continued support.
Thank you, thank you.
We could make a copy of this on our machine rather than wear out your machine or whatever.
Yeah, I'll bring it back tomorrow.
You want to bring it back?
Yeah, I'll bring it back tomorrow because I'm going to bring another one up to David.
We keep a copy of the contract in our contract file.
I will come and make a couple of copies.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Ferry Road, I want to meet with the engineer now that we're in a new fiscal year and just discuss budget versus the funding. And we do have an issue on Lime Street where the Reed residence has installed a white vinyl fence, which I think all believe is over their surveyed line, which could impact the sidewalk installation.
Is this on the corner of Lime Street?
It's in the middle of Ferry Road going toward Lieutenant River Lane. It's a white and has an arbor thing.
Okay.
And there I looked at a mirrorstone, which looks to be about a foot behind the section to this end. I think it gets closer to the boundary as it gets to the other end, but it's sort of narrow going through the trees and stuff anyway, so I know that the zoning commission found fault with the arbor. It exceeds the height that is allowed. So
when was this installed?
A couple months ago.
Okay.
So
what's the process?
Well, if it's going to impinge on the installation of a sidewalk, it may have to be moved into its rightful place, which would be a chore.
And what about the height of the arbor?
They've already been instructed to correct that.
Okay. Might you.
And then talk with him about, do we want to try to, might as well get the bid document shaped up. Do we want to see if somebody would like to do the project yet this year, or wait till the spring? Just what the likely best move is here.
What about
something we get together and then we can have a special meeting to put it out to bid before our September meeting? Does that make sense or no?
You have to do RFPs.
Right.
Yes, yeah. the architect, I mean, the quote from the engineer is to go through the bid phase.
Okay.
And then if the bids come in a favorable way, then you could proceed. If the current conditions...
The company's trying to plan their fall work now, so if they want to try to, we want to try to get it up by the end of this month at the latest before our next meeting.
I suppose another strategy could be that first thing in the spring when people start work, it could be attended to then. But you'd certainly want to do it outside of the typical summer season.
Well, when is the tree removal happening?
Probably close to the commencement of the... Now, you could perhaps do the tree removal as a separate contract with a tree contractor. We could do that ourselves. We don't have to have the contractor do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you remove the 3 principal trees, the contractor could have it part of his assignment to excavate the stumps. But I think cosmetically, if you knew it was going to be next spring, you might want to hold off or maybe do it in the winter time if you had a deal. But if you were going to maybe put it out to bid in the spring and you didn't know if you're going to do it, it might meet with some skepticism if the trees were removed and there was no work for a year. So, we'll see.
I just thought it might be easier to take the trees down while the leaves are off of them.
Potentially, yeah. If the contractor does it, there might be an additional markup you have to pay, but it could be bid both ways, I think.
Okay.
Swan Brook, I spoke with the representative from the Hawks Nest Beach Club Association, and he asked that the project wait until after September 15th because encumbering the beach with construction activity, even though it might not be that large, not a lot of machinery and so forth. So Miami Beach and Hawks Nest Beach are aware that that is the target, and it gives the contractor more time to prepare for it. So that's what we're shooting for.
Okay.
I've not heard any update on the cart crossing of Route 156 with respect to Old Colony Road.
Mm-hmm.
I think we heard that from council that the crossing of 156 should be from Town Road to Town Road. The south side of Old Colony, and I guess it's, what is that, Swan Extension?
Swan Extension.
If you come across on the south side, you land on Old Colony property.
Right.
So technically, the lawyer said you're not getting to town property. Additionally, if that gate were closed, then potentially a golf cart would have nowhere to go unless they built a smaller opening so the cart could pass. So I haven't heard back how that could be solved.
We've also had a few letters requesting special permission from some people that live in other private beach communities that want to be able to use their golf carts to get to Soundview.
Well, if you
I thought there was someone from Hawks Nest who would like to be able to get permission due to their disability.
I thought that there was a way that
I don't have the letter.
Miami Beach, now I guess they'd have to go through Miami Beach, but I guess Miami Beach would come and use Pond Road to enter, and Old Colony and perhaps Old Lime Shores would come through Corsino down near the water. This, the 3 principal streets a golf crossing wouldn't be a problem.
No,
But
it gets into, are you going to give someone who doesn't live in Soundview a tag?
Well, I think that
Register.
I believe that if somebody is coming in from Miami Beach, they would need to have a way to a Soundview plate. Now, if Miami Beach also required some sort of plate, you might need both. Same was true with Old Colony if they were to use, well, the north or the south part. It may be that Old Colony would say, notwithstanding, we would allow coming across and consider it we can accommodate the carts, because it would be principally Old Colony carts crossing and coming back down into Soundview, I think. I don't think just because you have a Soundview plate, you could go up Swan,
right,
make a right and go into Old Colony without permission.
So I think that the private beach associations have to get together to see how they're going to handle each other's golf carts, and with the crossing between streets to get into one area to the other. And then we would have to decide if we're going to accept their registered golf carts, if they're going to register them, because I don't think they're registered in all of the private beaches at this point in time. Then are we going to accept those registrations if they come over to Soundview?
And it may be that if somebody...
Paul is here.
No, Soundview is not accepting the registration. They have to have a Soundview registration and abide by the guidelines that they've established for
right.
And Powell and Frank did that, and so they are not allowing. And they could come through Pond Road, but there's a gate there, so it's closed, except on trash day, I think. But as I understand it, they are not allowed unless they register with. There's no way that they can get through because they have to go across Shore Road, and they're not allowed to go on Shore Road. So, and they don't want to. Some people want to come over, but they don't want to pay the fee or register with you.
Well, they'd have to have that. Dennis?
Told you guys this is what's going to cause a problem. You have town streets in Hawks Nest. You have people driving golf carts on town streets in Hawks Nest because Garvin allows golf carts in his property. You have to address that first because they're all illegal. Every single one of them. Because there's no driving of golf carts on town roads unless it's in Soundview. That's number one. Number two, Hawks Nest, if they go, they have to go through the gate and get to Pond Road by their parking lot, if it's not flooded. If it's flooded, then they have no way of traversing the two beaches. Old Colony has to go through Harttown. The way up Swan near Bocce Lane is not big enough for a golf cart. It's only a gate. It's only a pedestrian gate. So they have to go down to Harttown. If they want to go to cross 156, physically impossible because there's a gate at Old Colony Road and it's always closed on the weekend, and that's when the most traffic happens. There's no way of them traversing to Swan or Hartford without going on Shore Road. I mean, parallel to Shore Road, not crossing Shore Road.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's a no anyways. And they also need the plate for Soundview and get inspected by Paul and Frank. Last night I was on Hartford Avenue. The Rangers just locked up the gate. And what do I see coming across Pond Road was a cart with a flagpole on it, not Sound View, no plate on it, coming from Miami Beach at 9:30 after the police already left. That was a $500 ticket. Because they're traversing on Town Road without the plate. There's a number of issues that are going on. I made a complaint last week at a commission meeting, and Paul unfortunately was on vacation, so he wasn't able to hear it. But it was very vocal about golf carts. So there's more than one situation that has to be fixed. Ask any police officer to drive down Center Beach Avenue, Hawks Nest Road, Robbins Lane, and also Dogwood Drive, and any place there. Those are town roads. Those aren't private beach roads. I own a house on Center Beach Avenue. I'm telling you, they've always been town roads, and just because there's a beach association, it's not mandatory. It's not a municipality. It's more of a civic organization. They own beach rights. You know, everybody who owns a house there and it's on their deed owns beach rights, but it's not the same as Miami Beach or a whole colony. That was a special exception because there was no way for them to traverse from Hawks Nest legally to Miami Beach and then to Soundview.
Yeah, so it needs more work for sure.
Oh, yeah, we need a lot of.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so that's all right. The next item is 36-1 Button Ball. There was a site walk, which I was unable to attend. Did you attend it?
I did.
And you attended it?
He went way into the marsh.
Yeah, it was very productive.
Very productive, very nicely.
And there's a meeting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock.
Right, to discuss the sidewalk.
Do you have any, I think one of the questions probably tomorrow morning is, have we reached out to the surveyor or anybody?
Yeah, the surveyor has submitted a price.
Okay.
I believe the price is $1,200 to do the survey. The question of funding that needs to be resolved. Now, open space could conceivably find $1,200, and then there would be a wetlands piece that would be a companion to that, since we need to do both. And I'm not sure what the wetlands.
What about harbor management, since they're all in on it? 400 each.
Well, the other thing is that ultimately this will be a site for the public to come. And so it's rather nebulous as to who has control of the property or who should have control of the property. I think with respect to Tanamahaig, we know that Harbor Management talked about the landing and they were helpful at talking about access and all that sort of thing. But I think open space, they got the property from the state in the beginning. So once this is all figured out, they might be the one to supervise it, depending on how things unfold.
Do all three of those committees have funding for stuff like this?
I don't think wetlands would be interested in controlling a park.
No, I meant as far as paying for the survey.
They're all working together for this to get an answer. It would be nice if we just
well, that could be discussed tomorrow, perhaps.
Excuse me. The finance person has a comment.
I just had a comment that Open Space told me they weren't going to pay any of it out of their budget unless they get jurisdiction over it beforehand.
No, it's not.
Like a blackmail one.
So, and I suppose if their budgets, if they have miscellaneous, that's a possibility. So.
Well, they just said they're not paying it at all unless they get jurisdiction beforehand.
Okay.
That's a discussion tomorrow.
So that's not playing fair.
No.
Well, I guess we need to figure out who's going to supervise it once whatever happens, and maybe that's a function of what happens.
That's part of the committee.
is to supervise it.
Yeah, so I guess we mark time until that's resolved, or maybe they can quickly figure that out.
Well, we'll talk about that in the morning, I guess.
Yes. Okay, next we have the special town meeting. I think we all know that the town meeting approved the ARPA distribution plan. You have some documentation.
I do have some documentation. This is hot off the press today. This is George Cribge's final report, and I gave a copy to Nicole as well. So this has been gone through, approved, the draft went through the committee, some committee members, only partial, because we had our people who edit well. And George made the final changes last night and sent it to me this morning, so that is that. And then we have a contract for the economic recovery grant that needs just a little bit more fine tuning, but I'm going to send it to you in the next day or two. It will have to be reviewed by Nicole and possibly our town attorney as well, although it's already been approved by another town attorney in another town, because we're kind of cutting and pasting to save energy and time. And that would be for economic recovery grant. We're going to have to create something slightly different for the community initiative grant. And
probably more process for that one.
Possibly. It's really and truly what Nicole needs, and we have some language that was in the community initiative grant, language that was right from the ARPA documentation on future implementation of the funds, and also updating the town on what you were using the funds for the next few years. So that has to be put in. And
with the economic recovery, I guess there would be, what do you think? Just quickly summarize what those people, the 10,000 and less, they would get the money. They're getting money that they lost. So they
don't really have to tell us what they're using it for. It'd be nice. It would certainly be nice to know what they used it for, and so if they care to share, I think we'd like to know, because some of them may use it to enhance their businesses, maybe their facades, maybe outdoor dining, whatever. But it would be nice if they let us know what they're using.
That'll be an abbreviated process for them, because it's a one-shot deal.
It is.
And then the other people have more process, I guess.
Right.
Okay.
And then you have to think too, with the community initiative grant, you have to think too, because you have town ones, and then you have your nonprofits and other businesses that also have it. So how are you going to handle the town? Who's going to be updating for the town? Individual people who are spearheading those individual projects, are they going to be responsible for it? Then we'll put that in there. And have we heard when the money might arrive?
Mid-August, right?
They said within 30, I submitted to the state a week or so ago, and the state's going to review it, and once they approve it, they send it to the Treasury, but they don't tell us when. And then they said the Treasury will send you your money within 30 days. I think it's going to be the end of August.
Okay, and
the state was going to pull the money at customer.
Right.
And no one's in the office.
People work from home and feel like the jobs in the background for something. It's horrible.
And the ARPA timeline said that all the funds would be dispersed by September 30th. So we have to just be ready to hand out checks before trick-or-treating.
Well,
before that.
Nicole, didn't they say that the county money was coming directly from Treasury, and the other money comes through the state of Connecticut? I thought I gathered that the state money would come by mid-August, and the Treasury money would come 30 days after receipt from Treasury.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because we get one check, right? Or one payment?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
so that it'll be commingled.
But it's for ACH, so it should be quick. I mean, it's
True.
only on the check.
So we're holding people back until we get the moolah.
Well, you could do your economic recovery grants if you wanted to get those out. There's about, 367,000, I think, is about that amount. You could get those going. We could get those moving along.
Yeah, that might
if
be
you wanted to,
from the
because
first
otherwise
share.
Nicole's going to be up to her eyeballs.
That would be nice, because probably their need is perhaps greater than some of the municipal stuff and whatnot.
Okay, so I will have that draft contract to both of you and Nicole later tonight or first thing in the morning, and you can review it and tell me what you think. And I'm assuming you would want the town attorney to look at it as well? Or do you?
I guess, just we'll tell them to make it quick.
All right, very quick.
Yeah.
Less than 15 minutes. Okay. So that you'll have that.
And does this get into the sort of documentation?
This is just the economic recovery, and he does a little summary of each one.
Okay.
And who got it and what they...
So as far as the paperwork that's being recommended, that'll be a separate piece.
Yes. So a letter will go out to each recipient. We will draft a letter saying you were awarded. Here is the contract that you need to sign. They will have to either deliver that to town hall or mail it in. And once the contract is received signed, then Nicole can write the check. But she can't write the check until we get the contract.
Right. Understood, yeah.
So that will be that.
Okay. So we will have a standard application for the economic recovery one, and then perhaps there'll be more stuff and more instruction for the
community initiatives.
Yeah, we really don't need almost a contract with the $10,000 one, because
No.
they don't have to prove that they had revenue loss. They can go and take that check, as our consultant told us, for really anything they want. Now,
Well, Cribda made a comment that some people didn't return for the money because they had to sign something that was incriminating, so I don't know.
Well, that's why there is a statement on there that basically said that everything in your application was sound and true, and a few applicants in both of the other towns that he had worked with before us, a couple of people didn't show up because they evidently were worried that if they signed it, they could be prosecuted, not by the town maybe, but by someone else.
Okay.
So at least they were honest, but...
That's an oxymoron.
At one point.
Yeah. They found religion. Okay, thank you on that. The Point of Woods bond issue was approved unanimously. There were 4 members of the public, all from Point of Woods. And so they gave a little report, and luckily they were not outnumbered by any naysayers, so that went well.
Okay.
Okay, turning to new business, I gave the selectmen an updated sheet about, I should call it the land use coordinator, actually, because I think the administrator is more of an administrative position. So I detailed using the 30-hour week, using the max step in our scale. And if you translate the 30, 35, and 40 hours, I think salaried people understand that the work has to be done and you're not constrained by your hours. So if it's a crunch time in a particular department, the person could work 30, 35, 40 hours, doesn't matter, they have to get the job done. But I think certain towns do denominate based on anticipated hours. And we know that this position not only goes as the administrative in the office and inspections and all that sort of thing, but then there are the meetings, which could add up. So you can see that depending on how you want to quantify the meetings into the equation, the hourly rate reduces as you go out on the using the same base. I started checking the towns that were in the report from the consultant, and I spoke with Essex, and they confirmed that the salary there is $102,956, and you go with a 40-hour a week, and that comes to the $49.50. Clinton, I haven't been able to speak to the town manager there. East Haddam, it's $79.8, 40 hours, so it's obviously less than the Essex hourly. Saybrook, I have a call in to Carl, so we'll get back on that. You can see if we translate our proposal of 82,000, you use 30, 35, or 40, the hourly changes. So I think you can see two of the neighboring towns are using a 40. So if you were to use, including the meetings, a 35 or a 40, the hourly diminishes. And I put at the bottom the fact that he indicated he would not require the insurance. There would be a payment in lieu, so the net cost is reduced a lot.
So can you just explain that to me? How are we getting to this figure?
We're taking the $82,000 compensation, taking away the insurance that we would have to otherwise pay if he took the insurance, and then adding back the payment one gets to not have insurance. So plus minus plus equals that.
Okay.
He could, at some point in the future, say, I do want the medical, and that deal's over, but at least at the initial stage.
Because you're talking about somebody's insurance options and selection.
You can't talk about, you really can't talk about the insurance in public because it's a HIPAA violation.
Oh.
Who takes it and who doesn't?
All right. Yeah.
Maybe.
So anyway, in terms of the base compensation, I think what we're going to see if we can get these denominated in 40 hours, because I can imagine most of these land use people do go to the meetings, and whether they work, if you went to meetings, 4 meetings a month, you're going to be spending a fair amount of time at meetings, and if you subtracted that from your...
I have no problem with this proposal.
I have no...
You already discussed it before.
Well, Wednesday we're going to be having the special board of finance, so I will get these other blanks filled in, and we'll make a change to the bottom
So
here.
just tell the Board of Finance they cannot discuss the health insurance.
Well, I'll take it out. I didn't give them this yet.
Okay, good. It can be noted, but they can't talk about it in public.
And do you know if any of the towns you've talked to included planner in, planning activities in their job descriptions, whereas we don't really have a planner? That would be a big part, an additional part that would bump up.
I didn't ask what the person is called. I think Haddam, it's a land use person, not a planner.
Clinton has separate. It has a town planner, it has town zoning.
Who?
Clinton.
Oh.
So.
And I don't think Essex, well, they're smaller than we are. I'd be surprised if they had a planner and I think this has moved up smartly over the last 3 years.
I'll look it up.
Okay.
I think that.
The Board of Finance, it'll be at 5:30 on Wednesday.
Right.
Midsummer Festival, I think it was an outstanding event. All told, we had the economic development. We went to a ribbon cutting at the store at the Lime Academy, which is wonderful, and there was all kinds of stuff on the street. I was at the Lions car show for a number of hours, and that was all wonderful. The traffic on Route 1 coming into town was not so wonderful, but we had a bunch of rangers helping at crosswalks, which I think was a good idea, although, Lime Street was much more tranquil than Route 1. And the fireworks were great. They might have been a little shorter than normal, but I think, given the money we had, I think everybody really liked it a lot. And I must congratulate the crowd. I don't know how many people we had as spectators. It seemed like a pretty good crowd on the field. And while I did ask people to take their personal possessions and any trash they may have generated, I come back on Sunday morning bright and early, and it looked like a golf course. There was only one fanny pack that you could even see, and a couple minor things, just great. So they really left it in great shape. So all good.
And a million thanks to the committee who put that Midsummer Fest. It is a lot of work.
Yeah. And
we all appreciate it because it's a great presentation of our town and our spirit.
And the Flo Grizz concert was packed, so that was fun. All around, couldn't ask for better weather, really.
Does Cheryl have anything she wants to add from the EDC side, or you're good?
No, I'll just add a very quick anecdote. At our EDC booth, we had a couple of people, one couple in particular, who said, we keep our boat at Oakland Marina, and we're thinking about living here. So it's a great way as much as to showcase the town in a positive way. So thank you everyone for your help.
Good. Well, keep that playbook. I thought the brochure was really very good too, with the map and everything.
And Gary, you had...
Well, I just want to make a comment.
Yes.
Similar. In the open space booth, I talked to a lot of people, and a lot of them were from out of town.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, wow, these people are coming here.
No, I talked to people from Texas. Yeah, I talked to people from Texas, California, New Jersey. I mean, really drew a crowd in from all over.
Good. Okay, other business.
Do we need to amend the agenda to add other business?
No.
Okay, well, other business, we need to discuss our greeters.
Right. As I understand it, the greeters, I think as of July 1, do not get the full reimbursement, but Robert said 90% instead of 100%?
Right, we're at 90% now, and I think there'll be another decrease in another month or two. It'll go down again eventually to like 80%, then it'll go to 80%. And for types of things like that. It's not just greeters, it's just...
other stuff too.
It's just COVID funding is decreasing because things are getting better.
So I think we wanted it for sure to keep them through the tax time, and it's been busy, but now August 1st is the last day you can pay your taxes without a penalty. So that'll sunset. I guess we could discuss whether we think we need, even with the reimbursement, the luxury of having it here. If we were to stop it, I guess we could open the regular doors that we've used in the past and not use this foyer. I mean, it certainly is nice to have the material there and all that, but I think long term we probably don't want to spend the money to have somebody there.
I think we should try to direct back to as much as normal as we can. They've been helpful this time, not that they did anything wrong, it's just that we need to move forward.
Yep. And I think, Tim, we can still set up a very nice display, and maybe we'll get a floral arrangement from the Duck River Club that could come in and be in the middle and sort of put the brochures and things around it so that it's there for people to take, and when people are coming into meetings, they can take what they need to.
Yeah, we could continue, we could just have a table there with some forms and stuff, not maybe,
Maybe we could make
two of
it
them.
nicer than a folding table.
And then, people are kind of conditioned now coming in that door. The other doors, we could just keep as exit only sort of thing. But question is, do we want to, it's into August, so do we want to say, like the beach,
when is the next pay period ending?
This pay period just ended.
Then last Saturday.
So the next pay period.
Town hall employees, well, other employees outside town hall, we just kind of wonder why we even have it here. They don't really, or a lot of them, they just send people through, really.
Right.
I don't know.
So if we just had a pay period that ended on July 20, July 30th.
2 weeks.
So that's not really giving them 2 weeks notice. Do we need to do that?
Well, you could go to Labor Day just to finish out the month.
Well, I think it would be easier for payroll if you ended it on the end of a pay period.
Yeah.
So the last day of the greeters would be August 26th because the pay period ends August 27th.
You could stay through August, and then, when you get to Labor Day. Now, the two folks that are doing it, they said if there's some need, they would be available to pinch hit for something. If somebody was sick.
Secretary or something, that would be great. Okay, so I'll make a motion that the last day that we will have our greeters present will be August 26th of 2022.
I'll second that.
All right, it is moved and seconded to end the greeter program on the 26th of August. Any discussion on it?
I would just like to thank both our greeters, Jesse and Suzanne, for their excellent service over the past.
Well, we've usually given them a little nice send-off at the end. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, sorry. I'm looking at that calendar again.
Okay, we have had discussion on equating some of the benefits in town amongst the union and the non-union. And one issue that has raised some questions is the fact that our Public Works Department was given additional sick days during this contract, and there was some discussion that the superintendent and the manager of the transfer station believe that they would get comparable benefits as those things changed, but they are definitely not in the union, so that may have happened. I don't know for sure, honestly. And it may be that we would research this a little bit and come up with a recommendation. But just to set the stage, Public Works has 12 sick days a year, basically one a month. They may carry over unused sick days and accumulate them up to a maximum of 45 days, which, if they had a serious illness, would be a comfort. It would carry them a little longer than it was 30 days. If they had stored up that reserve, then or even if they hadn't, they could choose not to store up sick days. They could be paid for them at the end of the year, the unused sick days. So and that's true of a number of people in town. So in June, if they have to designate whether they want to be paid out for unused time or to bank it or if they're fully banked, then they have to be paid out. The police get 12 as well. Their maximum is 90-day accumulation. I think the feeling is that with their job interfacing with the public, and you might
chance of
get
injury.
Yeah, the chance for injury is higher. So the 90 seems more appropriate for them. And they too can be paid out. I don't know if I have the detail on how that works. But now the town has 8 sick days a year, up to 30 max. And I think the same, people can be paid out. So the question is, with the 2 unions at 12 and one at 45 max and the other at 90, the 8 and 30 seems to be lagging, old.
So, Tim, because this is really going to affect more people than just 2.
Oh yeah, well this would be for non-union.
Right. So this is something that we could further discuss.
Yeah, but I got one more part to go through. If one leaves the employment of the town, there are different rates of payout. The police, it's a straight 25%. The public works, it's a graduating scale. So for the first 5 years, it's 25%, and it goes up 10 years, 30%, 15, 35%, 20, 40%. So they do get more over time. The town, I believe, it's 100% if you leave for bank time. So there's a pretty big variation through that whole, through the payout if one were to leave. And mind you that when you leave, it would be at the current rate of your compensation. So I think that an adjustment might be warranted. I think it needs some work on our part to come back and make a recommendation. We just finished a fiscal year, so if we do something, it could be for starting with July 1. I realize that the Public Works contract goes back a year, but we don't want to, at least I don't think it would be wise to go back in time.
Right.
So we'll kick it around a little more here and see if we can come up with some suggestions. But there are, different aspects of it that need to be considered all at once. So we'll get going on that. Anything else?
I just want people to know, the town to know, that the Shoreline Gateway Committee is working on a survey that we hope to get out around Labor Day or just before for the town. And we're working on that to ask about your opinions of 156 in the Shoreline Gateway area.
This will be a survey?
It will be a survey.
Okay.
Yep. And we're working on finishing up. Questions are coming out tonight to certain people to start to look at them, to finish our draft and edit and revise, and then we're going to plug it into SurveyMonkey, and then we're going to design a postcard and mail it out and hope that everybody and...
Somebody might have experience with that.
A little bird told us.
Well, I just had the one thing. I'm sorry, do you have more, Martha?
There is some, I didn't mention this, but George Krivdas came in under budget. He had $20,000 in reserve, so there's a little over $5,000 that will be going back, and that will go into social services. So that's nice.
Good.
Sorry.
On the business, I thought maybe we could try to move forward with that HR position, try to approve that to post it, so we can start getting out into the proper websites. And I think I shared with you there's a job description that we came up with some help from Nicole and Amy in the town hall as far as what they felt was necessary as far as with the HR person. So I'd like to get permission or approval from you as well to move forward.
Yeah. What we might do, I could shoot that to the people who went through all of them to get maybe the same format.
Which people is this?
The HR consultant people who went
they
through.
They already charged us. They're going to probably charge us to look at it again.
Well, do we want it?
This came from people here and from
Other towns. We've had a lot of feedback on this.
A lot of feedback from a job recruiter.
That's true, but do we, there's a certain format to it. It's not the content so much as the look of it.
Okay.
So I could ask what they would do to take what we have and not to redo it, but to just...
I think we can reformat it in the way that our others are done.
All right.
I don't think we need...
No.
Okay.
I'm sure we could get Michelle
We'll try to post it this week and get the ball rolling.
Somebody to...
Yeah.
And we could get it onto CCM.
True.
I think that CCM works really well for us.
I think that's where...
Yes. So I think that would be great if we could get that going.
Okay.
By the way, what about our vacancy on the police department? Are we allowed? Do we have to post that as well?
I have to talk to Trooper Weber about what, and all of us probably. I was just going to brainstorm a little bit and come back to you guys with a couple different options and see what best fits immediate term, short term and long term.
Right.
So I'll probably have something for you by the end of the week on that as far as what our next steps.
Because we got a severe cutback here, and so do you think we'll need a TDY?
Well, that was one of the discussions I had with Trooper. So I figured if we could talk to him, come up with a couple of different options, I'll come up with cost of each option for us so we can make an educated decision as far as what.
Because we may need help immediately.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm going to meet with him tomorrow.
So we should probably have a special meeting on police staffing.
Right.
Yeah, because we have used the state police temporary duty officer, and although, it might be more expensive than an all-in person.
Right. Well, if it's just for the
have
next 2 months to get us through September.
You can get a resource in
right
away.
And I'll reach out to the lieutenant and see what options what he needs from us to do that.
Yeah, or if there's availability.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll work on that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Magic word?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And I will second.
Seconded, 7:24.
That job description. I know Michelle's out today, I don't know if she's out all week, but we can certainly help. Just, I usually